In 2017, a 26-year-old banker in Hong Kong worked a 24-hour straight shift, went home, and never woke up again. His name was on every intern's lips for months. Not because of what he built, because of what killed him. And here's the part that should terrify you. His autopsy found no drugs, no disease, no hidden condition. Just a body that had been begging for sleep for months, and a brain that finally ran out of runway. You've probably never pulled a 24-hour shift, but if you're getting less than 7 hours of sleep tonight, you are running the exact same experiment on your own body, just slower, quieter, and in about 20 minutes. I'm going to show you the biology of why that's true, why almost everything you believe about toughing it out is a lie your culture sold you, and the 6-step system that will hand you your brain back. Stay to the end, because Section 9 reveals the one sleep habit that neuroscientists say is more damaging than skipping a meal, drinking, or even smoking a cigarette before bed. And most people are doing it every single night without knowing it. Let's start with the epidemic nobody's talking about. Section 1. The silent epidemic. Somewhere along the way, we decided exhaustion was a personality trait. We post our 4 a.m. alarms like trophies. We brag about running on coffee and adrenaline. We treat 8 hours of sleep like a luxury item, something for people who don't want it badly enough. Even the men who built the apps in your pocket have said it out loud. Sleep is the competitor, not another company. Sleep itself. But biology doesn't care what your culture glorifies. Right now, the average adult in the United States is sleeping under 6.5 hours a night. Over a third of the population is walking around in a state doctors would classify as chronic sleep deprivation if they ever bothered to get checked. This isn't just a personal problem. It's a $400 billion hole in the U.S. economy every year, bled out through lost productivity, medical bills, and mistakes that never should have happened. And that number is just the visible damage. The invisible damage is happening inside your skull, tonight, whether you notice it or not. So the real question isn't how do I function on less sleep? It's this. Why does your body demand something so fiercely that it's willing to kill you for skipping it? Section 2. The survival paradox. Here's a question that stumped scientists for over a century. Why does sleep exist at all? Think about what happens the moment you close your eyes. You can't hunt. You can't gather. You can't defend your children. For nearly a third of your life, you are the most vulnerable creature on the planet, lying still in the dark while every predator around you stays awake. From a pure survival standpoint, evolution should have deleted sleep millions of years ago. Any species that didn't need to shut down should have outcompeted every species that did. Except that never happened. Not once. Every single animal ever studied, insects, birds, whales, humans, sleeps in some form. And when a handful of species found themselves in situations where full sleep was too dangerous, evolution didn't remove sleep. It got creative instead. Dolphins and certain migratory birds developed something called unihemispheric sleep, literally shutting down one half of the brain while the other half stays awake to watch for danger or keep swimming. Pause on that for a second. Nature would rather rewire an entire brain to sleep in half measures than let a species skip sleep completely. That's not a minor biological quirk. That's a flashing warning sign. Evolution's way of telling us sleep is not optional. It's not a lifestyle choice. It's the master system underneath every other system in your body, regulating your blood sugar, resetting your heart, balancing the hormones that control your mood, your hunger, even your sex drive. Skipping sleep doesn't just make you tired. It switches off your body's maintenance crew mid-repair. And the story gets stranger because your body doesn't just need sleep. It needs sleep at a very specific time, a time that's already written into your genes. Section 3. The clock you didn't choose. Have you ever hated yourself for not being a morning person? For years, we've been told that waking up early is a discipline problem. Set the alarm. Grow up. Stop being lazy. Here's what nobody told you. Your wake-up time isn't a character flaw. It's written into at least 22 different genes that control something called your chronotype. About a third of people are hardwired morning types. A third are genuine night owls. The rest sit somewhere in between. This isn't preference. It's programming. And it wasn't a design flaw, it was a survival strategy. Picture an ancestral tribe sleeping in the open. If every single person slept from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., the entire tribe was defenseless for 8 straight hours. But because chronotypes were spread across the group, the early risers slept first, the night owls stayed alert until sunrise, and the tribe was only vulnerable for 2 or 3 hours instead of 8. Your broken sleep schedule used to be someone's night watch. But here's where that ancient survival code creates a very modern problem: relationships. When two people with mismatched chronotypes share a bed, they interrupt each other's deep sleep almost every single night without realizing it. Nearly a third of couples now say sleep incompatibility is a real source of tension in their relationship. This is why more sleep doctors are pushing back against the stigma of the sleep divorce. 1 in 4 couples already sleep in separate rooms, not because the relationship is failing, but because the data is undeniable. Well-rested partners are more patient, more affectionate, and have measurably better relationships than exhausted ones sharing a mattress out of obligation. Section 4. The Midnight Power Wash. For decades, doctors believed your brain simply powered down at night, like a computer going idle. Then researchers at the University of Rochester found something that changed neuroscience forever. Your brain has its own private plumbing system, and it only turns on while you're unconscious. It's called the glymphatic system, and here's what it does. Every thought you have, every decision you make, every hour you're awake generates cellular waste, metabolic garbage your neurons leave behind. Two of the most dangerous byproducts are proteins called beta-amyloid and tau, the exact same proteins found clumped together in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. Your body has a lymphatic system that clears waste from the rest of your tissue. But the brain runs its own separate, exclusive system, and it only opens for business during deep sleep. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. When you drop into deep, non-REM sleep, the support cells in your brain physically shrink by up to 60%, opening up space for cerebrospinal fluid to rush through like a pressure washer, flushing that toxic buildup straight out of your skull. Skip that stage of sleep, and you cancel the wash cycle. The garbage stays. Researchers have shown that just one night of severe sleep deprivation causes a measurable spike in beta-amyloid levels in human blood and spinal fluid in a single night. One bad night won't break you. But do this for years, stacking unwashed night after unwashed night, and you're not just tired. You're quietly laying the foundation for cognitive decline decades before you'll ever feel the symptoms. Your brain is trying to clean itself every single night. The only question is whether you're giving it the time to finish the job. Section 5. The lie your office told you. There's a myth still alive in nearly every ambitious office on Earth that sacrificing sleep is the price of greatness. Wall Street glorifies the trader running on 4 hours. Silicon Valley worships the founder who doesn't have time to sleep. Somewhere along the way, exhaustion became a proxy for dedication. The research says the opposite is true, and it's not subtle. When scientists study sleep-deprived workers under controlled conditions, cognitive performance doesn't dip a little. It collapses. Underslept employees default to shallow, low-effort tasks, clearing emails, scrolling notifications, because their brains no longer have the fuel for deep, strategic thinking. Creative problem-solving takes an even harder hit, because real innovation depends on the brain connecting distant, unrelated ideas, something that happens almost exclusively during REM sleep. Cut the sleep, and you cut the very process that produces breakthrough thinking. Teams suffer too. Exhausted employees show more social loafing, quietly coasting and letting the well-rested carry the workload because they no longer have the mental stamina to fully engage. And it gets worse at the level of integrity. Sleep-deprived employees are measurably more likely to cut ethical corners, misreport numbers, and take shortcuts they'd never take rested. Even leadership isn't immune. Employees consistently rate their managers as less charismatic and less inspiring after a bad night's sleep, and the employees have no idea their boss even slept poorly. Exhaustion leaks through everything. The hustle culture math has always been backwards. Cutting sleep to gain hours doesn't create more output. It quietly taxes every hour you're awake. And there's one substance almost everyone reaches for to paper over that damage. It's sitting on your desk right now. Section 6. The coffee trap. Coffee feels like a cheat code. Drink it, and exhaustion disappears in minutes. No downside. No catch. Except there is a catch, and it's hiding in the chemistry. From the moment you wake up, your brain steadily produces a compound called adenosine. As it builds throughout the day, it binds to receptors in your brain and creates a rising pressure to sleep. More adenosine, more tired. Caffeine doesn't remove that pressure. It blocks it. Its molecular shape is close enough to adenosine that it slides into the same receptors and jams the signal without ever switching it off. It's not curing your exhaustion. It's muting the alarm while the fire keeps burning underneath. Because your brain never stops producing adenosine while you're awake. It keeps piling up in the background, hidden behind the caffeine, until your liver finally clears it out of your system, and all that stored up sleep pressure floods back in at once. That's your 3 p.m. crash. You didn't get more tired. You just stopped being able to hide it. And caffeine sticks around far longer than most people think. Its half-life is roughly 5 to 6 hours, with a quarter life stretching to 10 or 12. A large coffee at noon still has a quarter of its punch left in your bloodstream at midnight. Even people who swear they can drink espresso after dinner and fall asleep instantly aren't off the hook. Brain scans tell a different story. That fine sleep is often stripped of 15 to 30% of its deep, restorative stages, even when you don't consciously feel it. Section 7. The muscle you lose while you sleep. If you've ever wondered why the diet worked for 2 weeks and then quietly fell apart, the answer might not be your willpower. It might be your pillow. Drop your sleep down to 5 or 6 hours a night, and your hunger hormones don't just shift a little. They flip against you. Leptin, the hormone that tells your brain you're full, stop eating, drops by nearly 18%. At the same time, ghrelin, the hormone that screams you're starving, eat now, spikes by 28%. That's not a minor imbalance. That's your body turning off the brakes and slamming the accelerator at the same time. On average, sleep-deprived people eat an extra 300 to 400 calories a day without ever deciding to. And it's not just quantity. It's what you crave. Brain scans show that sleep deprivation dims down the prefrontal cortex, the rational, impulse control part of your brain, while lighting up the primitive reward centers that crave sugar, salt, and anything fried. Now here's the part that should really change how you think about dieting. If you're in a calorie deficit while sleep-deprived, clinical studies show up to 60% of the weight you lose comes from muscle, not fat. Your body, starved of sleep, panics. It treats the situation like an emergency, holds on to fat for survival, and cannibalizes the expensive, metabolically active muscle tissue instead, the exact tissue you're in the gym trying to build. You can eat perfectly. You can train perfectly. And if you're sleeping 5 hours a night, your body will still work against you. You cannot out-diet a sleep deficit. You can only fix it. So far, we've talked about what sleep does to your body. But there's a part of your mind that only gets repaired in the dark, and it might be the most important system of all. Section 8. The therapy you get for free every night. Somewhere in the middle of your sleep cycle, your brain enters a stage most people only think of as dreaming. Scientists call it REM sleep, and for most of history, we had no idea what it was actually for. Now we know. REM sleep is your brain's nightly therapy session, and you never have to pay for it or show up on time. When something painful happens during the day, your brain tags that memory with a jolt of emotional adrenaline. It hurts because your brain wants you to remember it hurts. But during REM sleep, something remarkable happens. Stress chemicals like noradrenaline essentially shut off. In that chemically safe window, your brain reopens the painful memory and reprocesses it, stripping away the raw emotional sting while keeping the lesson intact. That's why you can remember an argument, a failure, even a loss from years ago without feeling the same gut punch you felt the day it happened. Sleep didn't erase the memory. It diffused it. REM sleep is also where your best ideas quietly assemble themselves. Deep sleep files new information into long-term memory. REM sleep does something more. It reaches across your entire mental archive and starts connecting information that has nothing obviously in common. You felt this. You go to bed stuck on a problem, and you wake up with the answer already sitting there, like it assembled itself while you weren't looking. That's not a coincidence. That's REM sleep doing its job. Every night you cut short, you're not just losing rest. You're canceling therapy you didn't know you needed and shutting down the exact process your brain uses to make you smarter. But here's the part almost nobody talks about, the thing I promised you at the start, because losing one night is bad. What most people don't realize is that you can't just pay it back the way you think you can. Section 9. The debt you can never fully repay. Here's the habit I said was more damaging than most people realize: the weekend catch-up sleep. You tell yourself the math works. Lose 2 hours a night all week, sleep in an extra 6 hours on Saturday, debt cleared, fresh start Monday. Sleep researchers have a name for why this doesn't work. Sleep debt is real, but it's not a bank account. It's more like credit card interest. Studies on chronic partial sleep restriction show that even after a full night or two of recovery sleep, cognitive performance doesn't snap back to baseline. Reaction time, memory, decision-making, they improve, but they stay measurably below where they'd be if you'd simply slept enough in the first place. Worse, some of the damage isn't the kind sleep can undo quickly at all. Remember that glymphatic power wash from Section 4? One recovery night doesn't fully catch up months of unwashed metabolic waste. Remember the muscle loss from Section 7? A weekend in bed doesn't rebuild tissue your body already broke down. This is why so many high performers feel like they're managing their exhaustion instead of solving it. They are. They're servicing the Section 10, the 6-night reset. You don't need supplements, biohacks, or expensive gadgets to fix this. You need 6 things, and every one of them is free. Protocol 1. Absolute regularity. Same wake-up time, every single day, weekends included. Your circadian rhythm is a biological clock that thrives on consistency, and a fixed wake time is the single strongest anchor you can give it. Protocol 2. The 60-minute darkness window. In the hour before bed, cut your lighting by half to 3/4. Kill the overhead LEDs, switch to low warm lamps. That drop in brightness is the signal your brain uses to start releasing melatonin. Protocol 3. Cool the room down. Your core body temperature needs to drop by about 1 degree Celsius to trigger deep sleep. Aim for 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. It's far easier to fall asleep slightly cold than even a little too warm. Protocol 4. The 30-minute rule. If you're lying awake for more than 30 minutes, get up. Go somewhere dim. Read something physical, stretch, breathe, anything except staring at the ceiling. If you stay in bed wide awake night after night, your brain starts associating the mattress itself with frustration instead of rest. Protocol 5. The standing phone rule. If your phone has to be in the bedroom, only use it standing up. The second your body wants to sit or lie down, the phone goes across the room, out of reach. Protocol 6. Defuse the racing mind. Remove visible clocks so you stop counting the hours you have left. If your thoughts won't slow down, try a mental walk. Picture every step of a familiar route in detail. Or simply remind yourself that quiet rest, even without full sleep, still restores you. Fighting for sleep is the fastest way to lose it. 6 habits. 0 cost. And they work together, not in isolation. Miss the room temperature, and the 30-minute rule won't save you. Stack all 6, and you're not managing exhaustion anymore. You're eliminating it. Section 11. The comeback. Remember that 26-year-old banker from the opening. He didn't die from one bad night. He died from an entire culture that told him exhaustion was proof of commitment, right up until his body finally sent the bill. You don't have to wait for a warning that loud. The science has already told you everything you need to know. Sleep isn't the thing standing between you and your goals. It's the only thing that makes reaching them possible. It's the tide that lifts every part of you: your focus, your mood, your metabolism, your memory. even how many years your brain stays sharp. Stop treating sleep like the reward you earn after everything else is done. Tonight, it goes first. Dim the lights. Cool the room. Protect the one system every other system depends on. If this changed how you'll sleep tonight, subscribe, send it to the person you know is running on empty, and tell me in the comments. Which of these 6 protocols are you starting with? Thanks for watching. Sleep well.